Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Welcome back to Heather V. Read. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my March TBR, and I will just preface this by printing out this big boy down here. I don't know if you're going to guess what this one is, but I am extremely nervous for this TBR because I'm scared that I'm going to end up DNFing this one. So we will see how the month goes. I do want to apologize in advance if the lighting is a little wonky in this video. It does look really nice when the sun is out, but then the sun seems to escape behind a cloud and then it gets a little cloudy on the footage. So I apologize in advance if the lighting is wonky. So in March, I have a goal to read 5 books total, plus 1 or 2 audiobooks. So hopefully 6 books. However, one of these books is about 900 pages long. So I think that's going to eat up quite a bit of my time. I'm going in with an optimistic mind, but I will be sure to let you know how it all goes at the end of this month. I'm starting out with a couple of smaller books that I was hoping would be able to get me into a good mood to start off the month. And one of them is Foster by Claire Keegan. I've read her book what's it called? Small Things Like These, back in December, and I really enjoyed her writing style, and I knew that I wanted to pick another book up by this author, and I happened to see this one at the library when I was there a couple weeks ago, so I figured I would just pick this one up as well. Again, it's nice and small, so it might be a good way to start off the month on a good note, with something small and accessible to read. So this one says, it's a heartbreaking story of childhood, loss, and love from the best-selling author Claire Keegan. It is a hot summer in rural Ireland. A child is taken by her father to live with relatives on a farm, not knowing when or if she will be brought home again. In the Kinzella's house, she finds an affection and warmth she has not known, and slowly, in their care, begins to blossom. But there is something unspoken in this new household, where everything is so well tended to, and the summer must soon come to an end. A story of astonishing emotional depth, Foster showcases Claire Keegan's great talent and secures her reputation as one of our most important storytellers. So that sounds fantastic. I visited Ireland back in 2015 and fell in love with the country. So I always love learning about stories having to do with Ireland. So that is Foster by Claire Keegan. Next up, we have Girl by Camille Lawrence. And something about this cover really stuck out to me. I enjoy when books have like blank covers focusing on one color and then sort of something that's totally in your face. So this one, same thing as Foster by Claire Keegan. I noticed this one at the library and I thought, ooh, that is calling to me. I would really like to pick this one up. I didn't really know who this author was, and I don't know too much going into this one, but I am very curious to see what I think. Again, it's a little bit on the shorter side, so hopefully I can start out the month on a positive note and finish up a couple of shorter, easier reads before I dive into a couple larger ones. Born in 1959 to a middle-class family, Lawrence Barak shows up with her sister in the northern city of Rouen. Her father is a doctor, her mother a housewife. She understands from an early age, by way of language and her parents' example, that a girl's place in life is inferior to a boy's. Asked for the 1964 census whether he has any children, her father promptly responds, "No, I have 2 daughters." When Lawrence becomes a mother herself in the 90s, she grapples with the question of what it means to be a girl, to have a girl, and what lessons she should try to pass down or undo. That sounds so fantastic. I love reading stories like this of the injustice that women have had to go through to get where we are today, and even still. So I am extremely excited to pick this one up. It says Camille Lawrence is an award-winning French novelist and essayist. It sounds like she has a few other books already published, so I am very excited to dive into this one and let you know what I think. Next up, we have a book that's actually been on my TBR for quite a few years now, and it was either always checked out when I went to borrow it from the library, or maybe I just forgot about it. But when I went to the library a couple weeks ago, it was on the BIPOC authors table, celebrating Black History Month in February, and I wanted to pick it up, and that is Queenie by Candace Carty Williams. I absolutely love this color. Like I was saying, like just the plain color background and then a bold image on the front. I absolutely love, love, love. And I feel like I'm so drawn to books with orange covers too. I know they say not to judge a book by its cover, but I must say, like most of the books that have fantastic covers usually do have fantastic writing, at least the ones that I have read. So, Queenie, here we go. Bridget Jones's Diary meets Americana. Americana is one of my all-time favorite books. In this disarmingly honest, boldly political, and truly inclusive novel that would speak to anyone who has gone looking for love and found something very different in its place. Meet Queenie Jenkins, journalist, catastrophist, expressive, aggressive, dramatic, loved, lonely, relatable. Her boyfriend has asked her to leave their apartment. Her boss doesn't seem to see her. Her Jamaican British family doesn't seem to hear her. Her best friends try to help her. The series of men she meets online treat her hideously, and yet she doesn't stop seeing them. Queenie is in a spiral. But what makes this breathtaking debut novel so fresh is that this is a spiral mostly of Queenie's own making. The world isn't just happening to her, doing her wrong. Instead, as Queenie careens from one questionable decision to another, she finds herself wondering, as we all do these days, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Who do you want to be? Wow, that writing, honestly, I'm ready to pick this one up right now because I just think that sounds so incredible. I absolutely love that writing style. I'm so excited to pick this one up. Let me know if you've read this one in the comments below. Wow, wow, wow. I'm so excited to pick this one up. Oh, I feel like it just went a little dark all of a sudden, just as I'm about to show you David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to be reading this. 888 pages, although I guess this is sort of like the notes on the text. But anyway, it's over 800 pages. It is a big mother. I am reading this for the Game of Tomes book club, which is a book club hosted by a couple of my favorite booktubers, Carolyn Marie Reads and at Emmy Reads. I will link their channels below. And when I saw David Copperfield was up for March, I definitely wanted to pick it up. I've read a couple of books by Charles Dickens. Well, I say I've read a couple of books. I've only read A Christmas Carol, and I picked up Great Expectations last year, but I just couldn't get past the first couple of chapters. But I did really, really like A Christmas Carol when I read it in December. So I am absolutely looking forward to diving into this one. It's just the size that is throwing me off a little bit. I thought that it was only like 400 pages, but that is David Copperfield. I honestly don't really know too much about this book, so I'm just going to read the blurb to give you and I a bit more details about it. But I know that this is one of his most well-known pieces of work, and I believe one of people's favorites. One of the most famous and celebrated Victorian coming-of-age novels, David Copperfield charts the adventures and vicissitudes of its eponymous, oh dear, this is going to take a while. David Copperfield charts the adventures and vicissitudes of its eponymous hero's life, from the misery of his childhood after his mother's marriage to the tyrannical Mr. Murdstone, through to his first steps as a writer in his search for love and happiness. Along the way, he encounters a vast array of gloriously vivid characters, many of whom among the most memorable in literature, such as the eccentric Aunt Betsy Trotwood, the eloquent debtor Wilkins Micawber, and the obsequious villain Uriah Heep. Replete with comedy and tragedy in equal measure, and cited by Dickens as his favorite child, this partially autobiographical work provides tantalizing glimpses into Dickens's own childhood and remains one of the most enduringly popular novels in the English language. So, wish me luck with this one. I really like the cover. I'm glad I got this version. There were a couple different versions available at the library, and I'm glad I got this one. So I am excited to read it, I promise. And I hope I get through it. Next book on my March TBR is Five Little Indians by Michelle Good. If you watched my other video, the 15 books that I'm excited to read in 2023, this was one of the books on there. It has been on my TBR for quite a few years now, and I think it is finally time that I pick it up and read it for myself. So there's actually no blurb for this one, which is kind of weird, unless I'm just completely missing it somewhere. But I know a little bit about it. It basically follows five young children as they are finally released from residential schools. This novel takes place in Western Canada, I believe, somewhere in British Columbia, outside Vancouver, years ago when the residential schools were still happening in Canada. So it does follow a very horrific story, and it follows these children as they then proceed to live their lives out of the school, which I can't even imagine going through. So there is a lot of Canadian history in here. I'm excited to learn more about this topic. It is so important that we continue to learn about Indigenous lives and the struggles that these people have faced over the many years. Michelle Good's Five Little Indians is an elegant and poignant portrayal of truth, love, and endurance. Filled with triumph, survival, and healing, Good's writing takes your hand and leads you gently to the kitchen table. There, Good pours you a cup of tea and shares the powerful beauty and resilience that lives in the stories of all Indigenous peoples. This book will live with you. And that sounds absolutely incredible. So excited to pick this one up finally, and I will let you know my final review at the end of this month. And the audiobook that I am planning to read in March that I unfortunately didn't get to in February is I Am Malala. I spoke a little bit more about that book in my February TBR video, but just to give you a brief description on it, this is the story of the young girl Malala who was shot in Pakistan as she was standing up for young girls' rights to education. So I'm very excited to finally read this one. I had tried to take it out of my library. I use the app Libby for a lot of my audiobooks, and unfortunately when it did finally come in, I just wasn't able to get to it at that time or something. So I did have to go ahead and just return my hold on it. So I will be getting that in March, fingers crossed. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And then I might have another surprise audiobook. It is kind of hard to plan audiobooks so far in advance because sometimes I find it's more of a mood thing for me. Like, what am I interested in listening to at that exact moment? So it's kind of hard to tell how I'm going to be feeling like 3 to 4 weeks out. So I will let you know if I end up picking up anything else. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next. I hope you are all doing well and are taking care of yourselves and reading lots of books. So thank you again, and I will see you next time. Bye!